Hey, Joe Escobedo here, and welcome back to the episode of the B2B Marketing Asia podcast. I'm your host, Joe Escobedo, and today we have Clara Escoms, who is a brand strategist who generates a lot of clients off of TikTok. So she's huge there. And so we had to have her on the show to find out more about what she's been doing, what's been working, and to kick it off, finding out more about how she grew 11,000 followers in one day.
Yeah, it was actually really funny because in retrospective and doing a bit of reflection, I noticed that it will take me up to 6 months before to gain this same amount of followers. And now it happened overnight, basically. I literally woke up and noticed. So it was pretty cool. And it was a bit of a mindset switch, I would say, for me. And I would focus, so I create content around brand strategy, building a brand, etc. And I realized that when it comes to building a thought leadership strategy, it was not only, at least on TikTok, about me demonstrating my knowledge, but also putting myself in my audience's shoes and assuming that they are beginners or they don't necessarily know about brand strategy and they don't have to know about brand strategy because that's what I'm there for. And when I realized that was the point where there were ads, I started thinking of ways that I could serve them from there. So I switched my content a little from me explaining brand strategy concepts or how to build your brand concepts to more literally going shopping, going grocery shopping and filming with my camera the marketing that I see around stores, let's say. Brands, how products are placed one next to the other. So people really loved it. And I started doing a series on it, which is something that I would love to share about in here because series work really well on TikTok.
Yeah, no, it's a great little insight because I think a lot of people, when they talk about creating videos, a lot of people think, okay, you have to create these very high kind of production videos, and then some spend hours or weeks planning out videos, scripting every word. But you're saying, look, I just went to the supermarket, I was walking around, or I was at the mall, wherever I was, and I was videoing with my phone all the different marketing that I saw, and I was just talking about that.
Yeah, it was actually one of the easiest videos that I've ever even edited because it's not even me talking, it's that voiceover effect that you can find on TikTok. So I was, or I still am actually, the person that spends 1 hour creating the content, getting ready, shooting the camera, editing the video. But I feel like it's good to have both types of videos. So what works really well on TikTok is to have, let's say, 3 pillars, or at least, 3 or 4 pillars. One of them should be something that you're specifically known about. In my case, it's usually brand archetypes. I have the brand archetypal wheel, and that's where I explain something a little more specific inside brand strategy. And on top of that, I defend that you should always have another type of videos that are simpler, more entertaining, which are meant to bring some people in. And then in another type of videos, you demonstrate your knowledge and then your audience can find you. So that's what's working well for me so far. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you as well, too, because obviously you have your different pillars and they have different objectives, because I guess it depends on what your goal is. If it's to grow like 1 million kind of followers and then get brand sponsorships, obviously it's a very different approach than selling brand strategy, consulting and things like that. So I guess, how do you balance? You talk about the pillars, but do you find that people, obviously the entertaining ones are getting engagement, but do you think those 11K could potentially turn into customers? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's something that I think about a lot. And I used to think that quality over quantity was always the way to go for me. But I also realized that when one of my sillier, more simpler videos will do well, I will reach out really huge companies. I will reach out consultants from all over the world, which get to know me from that one viral video and then got to see my other work. So what works for me and what I actually advise to my clients as well is to have one of these videos every now and then to make sure that new people are coming in while you nurture via knowledge the people that are already in your community. You know, what I noticed with these past videos, aside from new clients which are already working with me at the moment, is really quite a lot of marketing students, brand strategy students. So it's actually allowing me to see that there's a lot of underserved young people who study business or marketing but don't really get to that brand strategy part until very late in their career. If anything, it's serving me to see, well, I could maybe find something else for these other people, which happen to be very interested in this topic as well. And I was not even aware. So it's always about evolving, I would say. As long as, especially with TikTok, you are willing to be really flexible, I feel like things are going to go well for you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, because I guess the misconception, or maybe it's true, that TikTok is primarily students, but primarily very young people. You're shaking your head. No, no. I mean, I'm on there, and I have full gray hair, so it's definitely not the case. But maybe I could hear your thoughts, because obviously you have a bigger audience, like who on TikTok, and who is kind of following you and turning to clients.
I find this really funny because I used to think like that as well. I've been creating content on TikTok for about a year and a half, or a little more even now. And I remember I started when it was for kids, or it was perceived to be for kids. But I thought now is the time for me to get in, because then I'll be ahead of the wave. And by the time adults come in, I'm already a little more established. To my surprise, my very first client coming from TikTok was a 60-year-old business owner from Ireland, a very nice man who had problems in his business. And I was shocked, wouldn't be the word, but I was like, this actually happens. And then I remember for 6 months, I just had, shake my head when people will say to me, you're being silly, this is for kids, it's not going to work. And I was like, don't worry. And in the meantime, I was working with these people already, and I was convinced that it was going to go well. So it's not only that it's not the case now, it also wasn't the case 2 years ago. And already TikTok has the same amount of users than Instagram, which is crazy. And we have to let the platform evolve. But because of the content that I create, I'm in contact with community managers, especially in TikTok Spain, and I can see that they have very big plans for learning on TikTok and education on TikTok, because it's really good for their reputation as well. So I can only see how this is going to get bigger and better.
Yeah, and I think you do something quite well. Let me know if I'm off, but I know you have different packages. You have your online course, is that right?
Mm-hmm. So okay. That's actually very interesting that you ask, because I used to work with clients one-on-one, and then I will build brand strategies for them. But I will get a lot of questions from younger people in this case. And when I say younger, I don't say 15, I say 25 years old. But they will ask me, hey, Clara, I don't necessarily have the money or the time or the resources to book a call with you right now, a consulting call. Do you have something that can get me introduced into this, market, industry, etc.? Because I want to start building my brand, but I'm not there yet. A one-on-one guide. And then what I did was to create a one-on-one guide on building your brand PDF, and then a workbook for it. So that was my way to try and serve as many people as possible. And what I saw also is that people who got the guide, let's say a couple of months ago, they went through it. They actually, most importantly, took the time to work on it. And when they are ready, they came back to me because they like the vibe, the words I use, whatever. So that's how I manage that. I have high ticket clients and then lower ticket clients from these guides so far. Yeah. And when it comes to what I mentioned a couple of minutes ago about marketing students being interesting in, do you mentor? Do you offer career consulting? I don't so far, but it's been super interesting because I actually noticed that I really care about these people, because I was there 5-10 years ago, and it's making me want to do more for them. And I feel like that's the key as well, because then I come up with ideas. We could have, a monthly call or a sort of membership where we get together. So when it comes to TikTok, and that's something that I literally wrote down for you here, relatable content, trying out different formats, and really caring about who you're talking are going to bring you really, really, really far, because they can tell. Really, people can tell that.
Yeah, and as someone who's been following you for a while now, I can diagnose it or provide some of the things that I think you're doing well. So I think in addition to you providing very practical case studies in a obviously very short time period, you also inject a bit of, as you said, entertainment or humor. So I was sharing one of your videos recently with my students on how you incorporated branding with the Avengers meme that was going around. and how you incorporate it. So that was like you're learning, but then it was fun and it injected a little bit of pop culture. So I think that's something that I'd love to see more brands doing. I actually experimented with that myself this morning, creating a mock interview for an Adobe event with myself and Ryle Reynolds. Now, obviously, it was fake, but people liked it because it was a different kind of take. So, yeah, I definitely got inspiration from what you were doing and incorporating education with entertainment, pop culture, with branding. I thought that was a nice way of weaving things together.
Yes, that's super cool. And when it comes to especially creating a brand or brand strategy, I feel like if we have very clear in our minds who we're talking to, that's going to make things way more easier because I very well understand that after a 9 to 5, people don't really want to get on TikTok or any platform for that matter for more teaching, education, consistent like information. So I try to just insert that through entertainment. And in my case, especially because most of my clients are females or female owned businesses, I try to think of brands that they might be interested in or movies that they might have watched on Netflix a couple of like weeks ago. Someone asked about Inventing Anna. So I did an analysis on Inventing Anna on Netflix 2 days ago. And the beautiful thing now that I have a bit more of a community, let's say, is that people literally ask. And because I keep answering their questions via videos, they know that I'm at least going to be aware of that. So they dare to ask, and then I create content that they literally want to see. So yeah, that makes everything so much easier. But I have to be very real and say that was not the case six months ago, let's say. Like I had no one asking questions. So I just, had to come up with literally dozens of movies to comment on and brands to analyze. So yeah.
Yeah, I think once you breathe out community, like I said, you do see a lot more engagement or questions than you do on other platforms like YouTube, not so much unless you have a massive following. Same thing with LinkedIn. People are pretty apprehensive. But I found that at least on TikTok, people are more willing, maybe like you said, because you have a broader spectrum of people on there, are more willing to ask questions. And like you said, that can serve as fodder for your next content ideas.
Yes, definitely. And in that sense, I feel like it's, especially in the case of TikTok, it's key to not come across as too distant because it's not an app to be that unachievable version of yourself that people cannot relate to, and it's just distant, purely distant, because they are simply not going to be interested in you. And that's a mistake that I made some months ago, I would say. Not only in that, but I assumed that they needed to know how good I am or how much I know my stuff for them to get to work with me. And it's not the case, because the smart part, I compare it to Apple's advertising and how simple they do it. It's not only that they create great products, on top of that, they are able to translate that into a very simple communication for us because we're not experts. And we can tell from their immense words they use, etc., that it's high quality, but they don't do it in an aggressive way. Hey, we have the best processor or the best quality. So yeah, it took me a good time to learn, but yeah, I would say now I'm on the other side, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could tell by the 11K growth in one day that things are definitely going to be on the upswing. I could tell people I know you before you're famous and before you're getting all the brand deals. So yeah, that's exciting stuff. And what you mentioned some of the hacks last time. Maybe you can share a bit more. The SIM card one. Can you share that one?
Definitely. So I actually purchased another phone last week, and that's because I'm Spanish. I was born and raised in Spain, but I spent some time abroad, and now I'm back in my country. My content is in English though, and I had really painful weeks and months when I wouldn't grow and I wouldn't know why, but I would often go live and see that people would comment, hey, why are you speaking in English? We're in Spain, things like this, because they will see that I'm Spanish. And then I realized that it was not because of my location, it was not because of my phone, it was because of my SIM card, in my case specifically. And because I used to live abroad and I had a different SIM card inserted, I would change my SIM card and see that then my audience will be directed to Dutch people in this case. And then I thought, if my content is in English, why would I post from a Spanish SIM card? Because the thing with TikTok, at least with this algorithm update now, when I post a video, During the first hour, my video is shown. If my video performs well amongst my followers, then the video has enough of a reputation for it to be directed to new people. So if by the time it's directed to new people, these are people that in my case, they might not speak English or they are not interested, then the video will be disregarded for any other country. So I got another phone. I got a US SIM card in this case. This was last week, right before all of this craziness happened. And I would say the phone is paid off already. So that's great because it was a little bit of not a risk, but I thought now I gotta get another phone, which I actually use exclusively for TikTok now. But yeah, that's a hack that I would recommend everyone. I know it doesn't work for everyone, but if that doesn't work for you, try a VPN. What you have to do is to not try and trick TikTok because they know at all times what you're doing. So the reason why I got another phone is because I never again opened the app from my Spanish phone because I don't want TikTok to be confused as in, where is she? Is she in the US? You gotta be consistent with the country that you stick to. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's hilarious. You're talking about buying a new phone. I had to buy a new light, camera, microphone. You bought a new phone because you're focusing on TikTok, which is hilarious to me, but it works.
Yeah.
And you mentioned live. I'd love to hear a bit more about live because I've done it on LinkedIn and YouTube, but I've never gone live on TikTok. So I guess how do you do it? And then what has been some of your key learnings from doing it?
It's been a while that I don't go live actually, but now that I got these new followers coming in, I definitely want to jump in live and basically say hi. But now that I have a US SIM card, I'm well aware that my audience is going to be by default, my life is going to be displayed to these people first. Something that's very useful in the case of TikTok Live is that you can literally link products. So far, you cannot link digital products, which is a pity, but I'm sure they are going to get there soon. But you can link website or physical products. And that's great for if you are having a brand partnership with a big brand or something, you literally comment on the product. Or imagine it's a cooking tool. You literally cook dinner while you talk about it or talk about your life, your experience, and then there's a little product up here which you have displayed in your kitchen counter. I personally used it to literally connect. I know other creators that use it while they are getting ready, doing their makeup, and it's like talking more to their friends, their people. I thought of using it. I haven't done that yet, but I wanted to have a green screen effect with the brand archetypes. I created so many videos on that and I have so many questions on that. And then as people will come in, I can, with a little information that they will give me, just determine in a very simple way what their brand archetypes will be and how can, most importantly, translate that into communication for their brands. So there's infinite ways you can use live. As long as you're authentic, people will stay and stick around. The beautiful thing about it is that when you go live, your followers are either notified or they get in their notifications part, where they get the comments and interactions themselves. So that's cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you've already mentioned, I think one of the great things about TikTok is there's so many great features that a lot of the platforms don't have. So you talked about green screen and obviously the computerized narration voice that a lot of people focus as well too. Is there anyone that you have found super helpful in terms of TikTok features? Is it music? What little features have worked for you?
Yes, I do try and stick to trendy music as long as it fits my personality, my vibe. I actually purchased something super useful by, I think he's called Jackson, I think. He's a content creator on TikTok and he created an Excel sheet with trends month by month and day by day. So he adds the sound, the trending sound, what you should use it for, and it makes my life so much easier because I just go on there and I'm like, this is what's trending now. I don't have to be scrolling for half an hour to determine what's going on the platform. And on top of that, even more than using trends, I noticed that talking about trendy subjects is going to get me in the right position, views, etc. So let's say, in this case, someone asked about Netflix show Inventing Anna, and the video did pretty well because everyone seemed to be talking about that show. When a new product is launched, or when there's a controversy from the Kardashians, then people ask me, "Hey, what do you think about it?" And then when I jump in and talk about it, I can see that, yeah, it's just a topic in the platform that week, and it performs. And it's not because of the music, it's not because of the hashtags, it's because of the idea itself. Yeah.
That's quite interesting because it's a little bit off different. Trending stuff still works on YouTube and LinkedIn, but I wouldn't say it does as well on those platforms as it does on TikTok. For LinkedIn, YouTube, like the shelf life is a little bit longer, but I guess for TikTok, I guess you can look at the previous ones, but they look for what's going on in the moment. So even when it was like pouring down here and there's like a thunderstorm, like there'll be like tons of videos on capturing that because that's what people are talking about and sharing. So that's an interesting little insight that I think was helpful for new content creators when using the platform.
Definitely is. And I feel it's also because TikTok indexates like the words you say, even with the captions. So even if you don't even add hashtags, the content will be displayed to the right people that are already interested in that topic. So it definitely helped me grow. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, the algorithm is pretty scary. It's pretty good. So last question is, based on your experience, 1.5 years growing all your followers, what is one piece of advice you would give to new TikTok content creators?
Experiment a lot. It is painful. It doesn't look beautiful. Doesn't have to look beautiful behind the scenes, but it's a lot of work. Don't assume that people are interested in what you have to say because they won't be. And that was really painful for me to realize, but rather translate what you know into actionable steps for them. Make it very practical, keep it short. Don't think that you have to elaborate for them to be interested in it. They are looking for the trailer of a movie, and the movie is going to be your service or your digital product, and the trailer is going to be your TikTok. In that line, TikTok as a company, they always say, don't make ads, make TikToks. So try and use your products or your ideas in a way that you can bring value to them for free. And then they will come to you because they want more and they don't have the knowledge or the time to do it themselves. And definitely leave the ego out the door. I thought that what I knew was interesting or important in any way. It's not true. They didn't care. I had to experiment with lots of different content for me to see, what was performing well, what was not. And on top of that, I'm well aware that just this week is a good week for me on TikTok. Next week, I might even lose followers or not grow at all. And that's okay. It's not about my value as a person that I don't grow on TikTok. I see a lot of creators that have 2 million followers. They post a video and it's got 2,000 views. And it's okay because out of that 2,000 people, maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 people are super interested and are going to end up working with them. So it's not only about the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. Great advice. Clara, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you sharing all your insights and experiences. Super helpful. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And guys, thank you so much for watching and listening to today's episode. A lot of great tips for anyone who's interested in TikTok. Feel free to share with your friends, your colleagues. I'm sure they'll love it. So thank you guys so much. Really appreciate the support, and we'll see you on the next episode.